All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Excuse me there. Should have cleared my throat before coming on. But welcome to Flying with Mike. We hope we worked out a few of the technical difficulties we had yesterday. Um, we'll see here as we proceed on. But today's flight is a short flight. I was hoping to maybe go with a um, two-stop run. We'll see if time permits. But for now, we're going from Christchurch, New Zealand, into Wellington, New Zealand. It's only about a 185, 200-mile run. So, um, we're a little delayed in getting off the blocks today, but we are in the stand. We have things ready for the most part to go. The only thing left to do is program or set the IRS to nav, program the FMSs, and run through the checklists, which will get started here momentarily. Holy crap, I am really off today on my game, and I do apologize for that, folks. Um, there we go. Alrighty, and I do apologize, folks. I'm usually not this far off my game. Um, that and the fact that, well, tomorrow I head back to work, and so things are a little on the weird side here for me today. So bear with me, we'll get this flight going. So again, we're flying the 737-800. You see it sitting there on the ramp. For Millennium Aviation Company. Can't miss the name over that fuselage. But I really, really love this livery. It doesn't matter if I have the one with the red tail, the white tail, or in this case, the blue tail. The guy behind these really did a phenomenal job. Again, sorry for that clearing there. So what we're going to do is hop up into the cockpit and sorry again, man. It's going to plague me the whole trip, I'll bet. We're going to hop up in the cockpit here and we're going to do a quick cockpit acceptance. And what we'll be doing is going through the preliminary pre-flights down to the procedures. So to do that, we need to have the battery switch on. That is located right here. The standby power set to on and guarded. That's this one. The ground power is on. As you can see here, we've double checked and we've set our switch to ground power up here on the electrics. Left and right IRS mode switches will go to nav. We'll hold on that for a moment. We're going to hold a little further into this and then we'll come back and finish it all up. So the cab utility power is and IFE need to be on. That is these two switches right here. Emergency exits on and guarded. Window, wait a minute, I skipped a couple. Exterior lights are set for the nav lights and the logo lights to be on. The anti-collision is off and the window heat up here at the top is on. Probe heat, which is the next layer down, is off. Anti-ice, next layer down for both wing and engines, off. Engine hydraulic pumps. Let me switch. Is 1 and 2 are both on. Oh, wait a minute here. I think I got them backwards. Engine hydraulics on. Okay, oh yeah, they are in on. It's the electric hydraulic pumps that are in off. I got myself turned around there. Sorry about that. We're showing forward entry, both forward doors open, and our two cargo doors. Just as we're coming down there. And finally, the fuel pumps, we're going to have all of them off. Trim air is on. That is this switch here. The isolation valves are open. and the left and right recirculating fans are on. So recirculating fans are auto, isolation valve is auto, packs are right now in auto, and our temperatures are in the proper selections. Engine bleeds are on, and we'll be loading the fuel up here, setting the cruise, and turning the fasten seatbelts on once we've serviced the aircraft. Okay, so that takes care of most of that. The next things I want to check: the landing gear levers down, the hang on, let me scroll a little here. The stab trims are set, parking brake is on, and I never can find it, and I'll bet you it's right in front of me, and I can't see it for the manual or flap and gear, but they're to be off as well. All right, folks, that wraps up our preliminary checks here. What we're going to do now, I just set the bottom panel to engine. We're going to clear off and we're going to do the remaining part here. We're just going to, okay, flight recorder's good. Here comes Mach 1 test. Mach 2 test. You just hear that little teet, 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 and then you'll hear a more steady. And they're hard to hear. Okay, so those were all good. 3 green. Dome light set, service antiphone is off. Our audio panel good. Engine electronic controls are guarded and on. And finally, our final test over here, the devices are good. The ELT is guarded. We're going to turn the IRS to off. What I'm doing up here on this rotary switch, moved it from PPOS, our position, to heading/status. Now what that'll do when I turn these back to nav, it'll tell us how long till they align. I don't remember who taught me this, but it's been a great trick. It works also in PMDG. You'll find here in X-Plane. And hey, Bob GTG, welcome aboard. I see you there in the chat. What that'll do when you're in the 737 ZIBO or PMDG right now with the Microsoft, it'll give you how long, which is something we've all kind of wondered. How do we find that out? Other than the long waits that sometimes seem to accompany us. So anyway, let's move on to the moving these over to nav, and as you can see, it now says we have 8 minutes. So we're going to drop back down to here, pull up our hang on a second, our FMSs. Let me get them just a little further back and up. Okay, so we can't, yeah, again, there's no timer here. And we're going to go ahead and set up our flight. It's a short one, like I said, and then we're going to get into the pre-flight and go over it. Because I don't think I can go through the pre-flight, get back here in time to get us programmed in the FMS in 8 minutes. So what I've done, as you all saw, we came from the menu, we click FMS or FMC. You'll get make sure your dates are up to date, which they are not for some reason updating here, and I've got to find out why. And then we'll go to position. We are at November Zulu Charlie Hotel. Okay. I always go to the next page, and being today is an odd day, I'll go with left. So I'll click there. Previous page, click there. We've got our IRS in place. Go here, click that in there as well. And we're going to November Zulu Whiskey November. That's Wellington Airport. And we're just going to go under MAC 0572. All right, so we're loaded up here. Now, we technically could and will, well, we're going to go ahead and put the flight plan in because I think it's only like 2 fixes, maybe 3. So let's see here. Greta is our first fix. And missed the T. Let me make sure that's spelled right. Yep, that is correct. We'll go to here. Obviously, we're south latitude, so we'll select that one. And we're going to the Yankee, I think it's 308, 393. And then we close the trip up at Wards, W-A-R-D-S. W-A-R-D-S. Okay, activate, execute. All right, and we'll come back and work on the runways after we go through the pre-flight brief. Okay, we have SimToolKit now pulled over. What we're going to be doing here, just running down what we have on the aircraft. So first thing up here is our flight plan in the upper left-hand corner. It's the runway 2 departure out of Christchurch. Gut B1P departure to Greta. From Greta, Yankee 393, as you saw in the FMC, to Wards. And then we'll go on to the Wards, Wards 3 Bravo into Wellington, and that'll be for runway 16. Okay, current weather in Christchurch here, 340 at 4. Unlimited visibility with an overcast sky at 4,400 feet. So the ceiling is at 4,400. 13 degrees Celsius outside, 10 degrees Celsius for a dew point, 1014 for the QNH. The airport itself is 123 feet above sea level. Again, we're using runway 2, and that's a 10,787 foot runway. Transition in New Zealand is 13,000 or 15,000. We'll see what the chart says. Runway heading is 016 degrees, and it slopes slightly downhill. We're going into Wellington, and it's only 41 feet above. Now, the big thing here is you have 2 islands that make up New Zealand, north and south. The south one you all are familiar with from The Lord of the Rings, especially down in the fjords, way on the southern end of this island. That's where a lot of that movie was filmed here in New Zealand. So if you didn't know that, now you do. But anyway, we're going to be at 41 feet above sea level at Wellington. Runway 16 is 5,955 feet long. The ILS for it is 110.3. Identified India Echo Bravo, and it's on a heading of 161 degrees, the localizer. Runway heading is 160, so we're not too worried. And again, 13,000 or 15,000. Okay, so that brings you up to date with how we're getting there and our 2 airports. Loadout for today. We will be loading on 160 passengers, bringing us up to a payload of 33,600 pounds. After we load 13,049 pounds of fuel, our ramp weight will be 138,543 pounds. Ugh. Okay, trip today will be, they're calling us up on SimBrief to 29,000. We'll see how that actually works out, but we're going to be on a cost index of 85. So that may or may not. 185 miles to 29,000. Ooh, that's going to be rough. So we'll kind of probably end up at 25 at the most, I'm thinking, but we'll see what the plane's able to do. This is a 737-800. It is ZIBO. Obviously, it has the CFM56 engines. And cost index is 85, air distance 183 miles. The average wind we'll encounter is 223 at 12. So that gives you an idea. Southerly wind should, a southern component to it, should give us a little bump in speed. We'll see if that translates as well. Fuel wise, we are going to have 7,100 pounds of fuel for our reserve in our FMC. I do that to cover us getting to our alternate. Which one did they choose? Something doesn't look right here. Hang on a second. I'm going to look at SimBrief real quick because I thought I put in, oh, it put us back to Christchurch. Okay. I thought I put in Auckland. Oh well. So they've got us planned to go back to Christchurch. Which is fine. So that's why we have such a high number here. I wanted us to go up to Auckland, and that is hopeful still today. Just not sure I'll have the time. So blocking out with 13,049 pounds. And as you can see, if things are crappy there in Wellington, we'll be coming back to Christchurch. They're calling it a 1-hour flight. We'll see. I think, yeah, that's probably pretty accurate, even though it is only 189 miles. But by the time you factor in the taxi, the climb, the cruise, which will be very limited, to the descent, to the landing and taxi in, about an hour is about right. So, and then finally our weights broke down for you a little better. And yes, they don't give us a stab trim, but we'll get that in the FMC. Final thing to look at are the charts. Here's Christchurch, here's Wellington, North Island, South Island. And down below here, further down, is where the Lord of the Rings were. All right, so you can see our simple routing into Wellington, and it should be. It's only 180 some miles. No significant. The only significant weather we have is moderate to severe chop up to 34,000 feet, so could be a little bumpy on the way. And 24,000 foot. This is a good chart for us to see. Now you can see those winds are out of the south, pushing to the west as we get up to Wellington. Now, what makes this a challenging airport, and this is one of the top 15 challenging airports. I wouldn't know it looking at it. But according to them, they have sometimes some very severe winds in here. Something about the mountain ranges here doesn't allow things to flow in properly, and it kind of flows around. I don't get it. Those of you that live in Wellington probably know it a heck of a lot more than they can explain it. And that being the press, not the people of Wellington. So again, if we go up to 30,000, we'll see it's still generally somewhat south, pushing around to the west or west north or west northwest. So, and finally, you can see that here we got a little bit of high terrain between us and Wellington, but not much. And that, folks, is going to wrap us up on the pre-flight brief. I did see that the nav display caught up to us and is ready for us to proceed on. The only thing I don't see on it, yep, it does have our route. So that'll conclude the pre-flight brief. Let me get us back into cockpit so we can continue on with the checklists. Okay, folks, back into cockpit here. Well, at Christchurch. And we're going to go ahead and let me take a look here. Continue on with our checks here. Currently, we need to get our fuel loaded in, and to do that, we come over to the tablet here. I've already got it loaded in. Here's our 556. We wanted 600. So we're, folks, we're off by 50 pounds. I think we can eke that one out. All right, so we basically go back one screen. You'll see the fuel truck here. Click on it, and that will bring the fuel truck to the plane. And you can see it there on the co-pilot side. Okay. Back into plane. While we're taking on the fuel, let's finish things out here. We need to put in the route, the perf. These are things, this is what we skipped. The route, the performance initialization, the N1, and get our trim, which will also be our V-speed. So to do that, let's drop back down to our FMSs. First thing I want to do, click FMS here and progress 164. I just want to make sure we're good. Okay, we're good there, so I didn't miss a fix or anything. Now, we need to select our departure. So what I did is I just clicked DEP ARR. Then when the page comes, the index comes up, click departure next to NZCH. We're going on the runway 2 and gut B1P to Greta. All right, so you saw how all that worked, folks. You basically select your runway, then your SID, and if there's any available transitions, which means you fly out a standard departure, but then they may transition to different fixes, and this one's like a half a dozen. You just select the right one and boom, you're on it. In select means you've selected. The execute should be illuminated for you to hit. It's not going to tell you up here. This is what I referred to yesterday coming from Melbourne over to Christchurch, that when you do these things, this light is not, that doesn't stand out like this. And once you click the execute button, they now go active. Go back to the route. We'll click legs just to make sure nothing's out of whack. And since we're such a short flight, folks, 100 and, when I'm under 200 to 300 miles, I'm going to get the departure and runway in because we're going to move on to it pretty quick. And wards. I forgot which one. Hang on a second. 3B. Okay, that will be that one. There's no transition. It'll say none if there's none on the departure star, which is an arrival route. Even the ILSs can have a transition to them. So pay attention to that. Let's see what happens here with runway 16. Okay, so we've selected Ward 3B, ILS 16, and there are a couple, DO 990, 2080. And what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to bring NavGraph up just yet for y'all. Oh, it did it to me again. I forgot that I got rid of it for a second. All right, let's see where we're talking about here. 2080. Okay, so those two transitions, and we'll show it to you because we're going to do them all together to keep things nice and simple here. And I'm just, while I'm here, I noticed something out of whack, so I'm fixing it. Okay, and there we go. And there. All right, so we'll go over the weather here shortly. When we do the departure brief just before pushback, we're going to also do the arrival brief. Because like I said, things could move pretty quick here, folks. It's only 180 miles. Ballpark. But anyway, the arrival for the runway itself, once you come in on the ward transition for the ILS, you could transition and do these arcs. There's one coming in from the northern side, and there's one coming in from the southern side. And that's what those two transitions are. And we'll get into those a little later. So hang on a second and move that out and get back to my screen here. So there is No available transition that we want here. So we're just going to click execute, and that activated everything. One more check through the legs. What we're looking for are any discontinuities. And what I'm going to also do a quick check of our altitudes as we work our way in. 6.5 below 6 at Hewitt. Okay. Okay, everything looks good there. All right, so our legs look good on the run. Hang on a second, get back up to the route. So now we're going to move over. Now, usually I would click save, but it don't like me. So I go over to the N1 limits. Before we go anywhere, our fuel truck is back to green. And now our fuel load is 3049. And confirmed. Looking from the back of the truck, we don't see the fuel truck anymore. All right. And there's our ground power unit. That too will go away when we disconnect. Not now. All right. So continuing into this real quick. Let's go. Actually, let's go back here. And what I'm going to start doing is start loading the aircraft. So you'll hear some movement in the background or sounds. Don't get alarmed. Okay, so 13. All right, 13 is, come on, 13049, so we'll go with 13.0. Click the line select by ZFW, and once again, we're going with 7.2. We're going to just go with 7. And 8.5. Okay, now they're calling 23,000 is the highest we should go. And that's why when I saw 29,000, was it? Yeah, that's going to be rough. So I'm going to go for 25. We can always go up. We may not have the time. And transition level 13. Oh, we do have the average winds, which are 223 at 12. 223 diagonal 12. Okay, and then we'll put that here. I do not know where to find this information, folks. Feel free to hit me in the chat box to let me know. I am not a professional 737 pilot. Oh, if I was, I'd be in a much happier place. Then it would be much funner each day at the office what you'd get to see. Especially if I flew for someone like Alaska or Air New Zealand. All right, so with our loadout, we're not really all that heavy. I'm doing this one from the seat of my pants. I do not have my prop up to help me over here on the other. Anyway, we're back in the cockpit. Let's proceed on here. We're going to do a D-rate 2 departure, climb 1, takeoff. We'll go to current winds are 340 at 6, 340/06. I don't know how to put the slope in, so folks, if you do know how to do that, please put that in the chat, and I do apologize for that lengthy delay there. But I do know how to put this in for the runway heading. 1500 for our acceleration height. Come back. We'll do a flap 1 departure. Those look good. The only thing left to do here is click CG 24.1. Gives us a trim of 5.0. So there we go, folks. Let's get up here and get rocking and rolling here. 151. Put that to 16, 16, 25. I believe we are going to. Yes. Okay. Flight directors on. Now let's move over to the EFIS panel. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we got to set the altimeter, which is 1014. Okay. Decision altitude. We'll set that to radio altitude of 100. Switch over to borrow. We'll go up to 500. Okay, folks, we're set on the EFIS. Only thing left, we got them on VOR, VOR. Let's go ahead and turn traffic off for the moment. I really would love to know what's screwing up with our flight plan here. So, all right, so let's get back to the checklist here. So we've done the route. N1, we've got the trim. We know it's 5.50 altimeter. We got servicing stopped. Starting to board passengers. Let's get the APU cranked up. To do that, we need to turn on a pump. We'll turn on the aft pump on the pilot side. Hang on a second. Before I do that, let's do a cross-feed check. Okay, light went out. And lights out. Okay. APU coming on. There it goes. Not sure why it was taking its time. Okay, and we're just waiting for it to settle in, turn the gens on, and then we'll continue on. So, all right, so the pre-flight, we need to get the flight directors. They're already on. The auto throttle, keep that at off. Indicated and Mach speed set to V2 plus 15. There's our, okay, APU bleed is now on. Going to 25. And I believe, if I remember our brief, 41 feet. All right. Go to APU. Want to go back up here. Move that back to position. Okay. All right, so what we've got done now are the route initialization for the performance N1 and our trim set. Altimeters are set. APU is on. Flight directors on. Auto throttle off. IAS Mach set. Altitude, cruise altitude set. Fuel flow rate reset. That is this switch here going up. And minimums, landing gear lever we know is down, speed brakes down, thrust levers closed, engine start levers cut off. And for those of you not really familiar with the start levers or the cut, what do they call them? Because they're slightly different names. Engine start levers are these two right here. Make sure they're all the way down and cut off. Parking brakes on, yaw dampers will turn on when we taxi passengers boarding. And we are now at the push and start. I'm really bummed that we're not able to go on POSCON today, but it is what it is. So let's get into the departure brief real quick here and arrival brief again, and get ourselves airborne. Moving over Sim Toolkit here again. Basically for the departure, the weather is still the same, 340 at 6. It's right now about 40 minutes old. Unlimited visibility, overcast sky at 4,700 feet, QNH 1014. Arrival weather, 210 at 20, so you can see the winds vary pretty heavy here. Ceiling at 1,400 feet, another broken layer at 2,700, overcast 3,900. And they're at 1020. They're expecting things to become scattered, but the broken layer may lower. So we'll see how this pans out. Moving on into the charts. So we'll bring NavGraph up. Okay, so here's where we are. At Christchurch, you can see where we're located. I'll even bring us into the parking stands. We should be right here. We're going to push back facing south on taxiway A, taxi out to A7, and then take off on runway 2. Across the top here, the ATIS is 127.2. Deliveries 128.2, and you can see the remainder. And this is where that 2 left, 20 right stuff is. Grass runway over here. Okay, for the departure, we'll be, again, here's our frequencies we won't be using. Airport elevation of 123, transition at 13,000, we have that set. All right, and we're going to track 001 off the runway to Getbu, which is right here. From Getbu to Greta, we're going to just turn right, track 016, and follow it out to Greta. Altitude restrictions, there are none, so we get a nice climb out of here, and on our way. We've gone over the V speeds, but just for a refresh, V1 is 143, rotate 144, V2 151. All right, that's the departure brief, folks. You can see it's depicted. Well, you'll see it here in a moment. We're going to go into the arrival brief, but you'll see on the nav display that it does show us turning to a heading of 1 degree off the end of the runway. All right, so moving over to the arrival now. And again, that's the Wards 4 Bravo depart or 3 Bravo departure or arrival. Again, these happen so quick, that's why I'm getting it now. ATIS is 126.9 there at Wellington, and they're 41 feet above sea level. And they're going with 15,000. So that's why I said we'll hit that transition as we can. Moving down here, you can see we're going to go, well, let's just read it off. Wards on a heading of 013 to Ohm Docks. And we're going to cross Ohm Docks at or above 6,000. Track 4 degrees to Phoenix, to Humid. Cross Phoenix at or above 5,000, Humid at or above 6,000, and 220 knots maximum. Then we're going to track a heading of 071 to Whitby at or above 3,000, maximum speed at this point 190. And then we're going to join the arrival for runway 16. Pretty simple stuff. Here you go, coming up from Wards. So obviously we'll be well into our descent at this point, and then you can see how we're going to join the ILS. ILS information here. Here are the radio frequency strip across the top. Frequency is 110.3 for the localizer, identified India Echo Bravo. Final approach course, which is the localizer, 161. By distance 6 from the localizer, which is right here on the chart, we need to be at 1970 and on glide path. Decision altitude is 300 feet MSL. And again, the airport runway and elevation of the airport are 41 feet. If we go missed approach, it's track 161 to 2 DME2 win. Intercept is 164 off the VOR. To tax up, be it tax up by 3,000, maximum 185 degrees. We'll hold there unless instructed otherwise. Again, 15,000 for our transition level, and giving you an idea picture, we'll hit Whitby, turning into the ILS. And here's the descent profile. Again, this is weird how they do it, but we should be on glide slope here. Okay, we're expecting runway end identifier lights and PAPIs. Does not let us know what side though. And no circling to the west of the airport. So if for some reason we need to come back around in a circle, we'll be making left-hand turns. Okay, and that there, folks, wraps us up on the arrival brief. Hang on a second. I'm just going to do that. Close that out. All right, folks, we are to the push and start. Passengers have been loaded, and we should be ready to push back and start.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you on your way momentarily. I want to thank you so much for your company, and we invite you to sit back, relax.
Okay, and what we're doing right now is setting up our pushback. Oh. All right, let me put that there again. Okay, there. Basically.
All right, Captain, got the directions. Let me know through the menu when you're ready.
Wow, that was loud in my ears. I hope not yours. Anyway, all we did was come up here, clicked Better Pushback, which I highly recommend. It's free plug-in. Then pre-plan your pushback first. You'll get what you just heard. Then come back, click.
Great news, Captain. Your tow's coming.
All right, so let's do some things here real quick to get ready for them. First thing, we got doors to close. Okay. Chocks to remove. And APU is on. So we can come off the ground power. And I know it looks like it's on. It's not. You'll see here in a minute. See how it disappeared? And that's all it does. It shows and it disappears.
All right. Looks like the doors and hatches are closed and we're ready to connect.
Okay, and he's just got a few more steps to do, as so do we. As do we. So, System B, hydraulic pumps to on. That'll be right here. Fuel pumps on. They are on now. Anti-collision light located down here is on. And the auto throttle will arm once pushed back. Right, and folks, now we're at the point where we're pushing back. We'll go through the engine start here once we're pushed back, or as we're pushing back.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Toes connected, bypass pins inserted. Go and kill the parking brake when you're ready to go.
All right, folks, and if you're all ready to go, I know I am. Let's go ahead, get, as he said, kill
Here
the
comes the
parking brake.
pushback. Light them up.
And we're cleared for engine start. Okay, to do the engine start, it's a very simple process. Being today is an odd day, I'm going to use the left side on the ignition. Now, make sure your fuel pumps are on, APU bleed is on, packs have to be turned off. Once they stabilize, all you got to do is whichever engine you want to start first. In our case, we're going to light up the co-pilot side, the right side first. One click to the right. And we're seeing the numbers starting to come up on the gauges here. At 17 to 25, we can move the fuel control lever to idle. You'll see the fuel flow start, and at the proper time, it will light off. And you'll notice that up here, your EGT starts going up rapidly. That's your turbine temperature. And 1 continues to rise, and 2 continues fuel flow, and your oil pressure. Make sure your oil pressure comes up. Okay, and then at 52%, all right, and starter cutout. Okay, and we basically repeat the same thing for the other side, but we're going to wait for
Just about done here. Go ahead and set your parking brake.
All right, now we'll kick it.
And we're disconnecting the tow. Give me just a moment.
Again, we'll just get you a little better view here. We're up to 12 already. There's the oil pressure coming up. We'll move up to idle. Once we have a good light off here, which we do, we'll let them throttle up, and then we'll with the disconnect here. And we should be getting, okay, start levers off, disconnect. All right. Okay, so folks, we are now started. Hang on a second here. Okay, so we're going to go into the after start checklist now.
And we're disconnected. Signal and pin on the left. Take it easy and have a safe flight.
Okay, so we're going to go up, turn the gens on. Turn the APU off. System A, hydraulics to on. All right, to Gen 1 up here. Okay, and probe heat and anti-ice can come on. We'll go with engine only. Left and right packs can go to auto. Isolation valve can also go to idle or to auto. Okay, and they're on. The auto APU is spooling down, and we're ready to taxi. Okay, so we got a couple things I want to make sure. Okay, we're going to make sure our start switches go to continuous. And all we're going to do now is click them to the left. One. Whoop. Okay. Just going through everything here too. And we are set. Okay. And all right. Now, yesterday with the 747, we talked about why we could not do the oxygen check. They don't have this gauge put into it. And this, I guess we can't test while we're started. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to go to flaps 1. Reject takeoff up here. Arm that. Flaps are and we're going to just do a quick okay folks, controls are free. Taxiway lights, runway lights as needed, or runway what are they called? Runway turnoffs turned on. And we're ready to taxi out of the gate here. We'll see you all at the end of the runway. And welcome back everyone. We'll get the wing lights on here.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
And we're going to hold short. All right, let's do the before takeoff checks. Engine starts to continuous. They're already there. Auto brakes reject. Runway turn-off lights are on. Strobes, they're on steady right now. We'll turn them on to strobe as we enter the runway. Landing lights will be turned on once on the runway. Transponder set to TA/RA. Heading bugs on the runway heading. LNAV, RNAV on. Lower ECAM, they like it blank. I don't understand. I like having stuff down there. Especially the engine. Enhanced engine stuff. And real quick over here, for takeoff, we're going to make sure we're at the right runway, which there really is not much of a choice here. Departure runway is correct. Strobe lights as we enter. Other lights as needed, and the transponder is ready to go. Procedure-wise, we're just going to throttle up to 60. Real easy to find here on the dials. It just happens to coincide with lining up with this arc. All right, so let's hit the runway and do our best to get to Wellington here. We'll start the timer on the runway. First thing up. Okay. nobody's on final, right? Okay, just didn't even think about that. Not on POSCON, so wasn't thinking. All right. And I'm still bummed, but that's okay. We'll get over it. Okay. Okay, we're lined up. Lights on. Hit the gang bar for that. Timer on. And again, folks, throttles, parking brakes release will go to Toga. Again, recall, all is good. Flaps are at 1 and 1. Trim. Set. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Before takeoff, checked. Flaps 1 in green. Stave trim 5.5. Cabin is secure. MCP transponder, strobes, and landing lights. All right, folks. Next up will be the after takeoff checklist. All right, so let me pull back up to here. Lights are on. Here we go. And here's how you can see that 60 right here. Toga. $80 knots.
80 knots.
V1, rotate.
V1, rotate.
V2.
Positive rate.
Gear up. Turning to run, heading
400.
1 degree.
Gear up.
1000.
Alright folks, and I'm just going to go ahead and engage the autopilot, make things simple here. VNAV, RNAV set, and we're making our turn. I guess it's off. Okay, so flaps can go up. All right, after takeoff checklists. Okay, clock timer, throttle, V2. Flaps have been retracted. Auto brake is off. We'll make sure it is not. There it is. The engine start switches at 10,000. Well, we'll get those turned to auto here shortly. Landing lights off at 10,000. Altimeter standard. And that's there. And let's check the stick here. Okay, air conditioning set. Engine start switches will go to continue or to auto. Gears up and off. Sure don't look like it. Hang on, folks. Oh well. Okay, we'll go with it. Auto brakes off, flaps up, and no lights. Well, altimeters are set. Okay, so that wraps up the after takeoff checks. Hang on as I scroll down to the same line here. Okay. All right. So folks, we're turning to a heading of 016 through 7,000 at 250 knots. Gears up, flaps up, and we are on our way. Alright folks, so we are airborne on our way. We're only going to get about one song in here, if that, as we're pushing up to top a climb here in 3,000 miles. Now I go quiet, a couple of reasons. One, I don't like talking out loud a lot while we're streaming. I'd really like to get some chat going in the chat room. But, you know, we're doing the best we can, so we hope you all will come along and start chatting and start building the community we so much want. But, you know, to each their own. I know there are other streamers out there that are probably been doing this a heck of a lot longer than I have and know what they're doing. But anyway, we're right now 130 miles out. We're at top of climb in 6 miles. Top of descent's going to probably be within 50 miles by the time we hit that point. So we'll see. So anyway, enjoy the music.
1,000 to go.
And we're right here. If you all need to chat or need me to chime in, let me know. Keep it all civil in the chat room, but we look forward to that. If you like what you've seen, please click follow. That tells me we're doing something, gets us a step closer to whatever the next level is here in Twitch. And two, and more importantly, it allows you to know via an email message when we go live. So if you have your notification turned on. So anyway, it just lets you know that we're up and flying and where we're going to. Now today is planned to go to Auckland after here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we'll kind of play it by ear once we get on the ground. I got to go back to work tomorrow, so I'm trying to keep things civil today. So I probably will not fly anymore after Wellington, but we'll see. So enjoy. We just hit top of climb. We're at 25,000 feet, and top of descent is showing on the nav display already at 35 miles out. So relax, enjoy the in-flight entertainment. We're turning the signs off right now. And we'll keep them off as long as we can. So enjoy the flight, folks. Alright folks, well, that was an enjoyable ride for 10 minutes here. So alright, so we're coming up on 25,000 and our descent has
1,000 to go.
got to start. Of course I went too far. Okay, now let me see if we're able to put it into descent. Nope, we should already be. Okay. Alright folks, so we are now descending, and I do apologize for that up and down motion. ZIBO does have a little bug in it. A lot of people end up crashed, partly through their flights because of something in the logic that happens. You saw that massive porpoising, well that leads into it. So alright, so we're descending. We're going to go through the descent checklist here momentarily once we get all slowed up. Descent checklist-wise, we've got descend using runway intervention or altitude intervention. Start switches to continuous. Fasten seatbelts at 15,000, 10,000 for the landing lights. Alright folks, and again on the arrival brief, and I'm just going to verbally go through it. We're going from wards, which we've crossed, to OMDX or DOX at or above 6,000. Then to Phoenix, PHNIX at or above 5,000. To Hewitt, below 6,000 and 220 on the speed. To Whitby at or above 3,000 and 190 where we grab the localizer. Why are we paused again? Okay, and the one thing we need to set up over here is our approach. 145, so we need to go with this one. Just realized we're going on to a 5,000 foot long runway. 110.30 has to be set in to the radios, and 161. So we're going to do that real quick. Okay, we are set up. Lights will be coming on here shortly. Let me try something here. Perfect. All right. Just wanted to make sure we were set there.
18,000 feet.
Okay, there's the call for standard. And here, weather is 1012. There we go. All right, and temperature wise, we're 3 degrees Celsius. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get our wing ice on for safety. Seat belts are on. And we're going to continuous on the power. Okay, final checks here. Engine starts to continuous, fasten seatbelts, landing lights. Okay, so approach procedure. Settings are set, altitudes 2D, DH. ILS course and run, frequencies are set, and the V card is set in the FMC of 1 or 40 degrees of flaps, 138. So we're gonna hope for the best here with that, and we'll set auto brakes to 3. So we're doing a maximum flap landing, and we're getting ready to start our decel. I'm a little nervous we may not make under 6 by Hewitt. All right, so we're slowing. Let me help this plane out because I'm a little nervous we're not going to get down. Okay, speed brakes are off. We should begin descending a little harder. All right, I'm going to make us descend a little harder. Okay, landing lights will hit the gang bar.
10,000
They're
feet.
all on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn the seatbelt sign on. We're 10,000 feet above the ground. Please make your way to your seats, get those tray tables up, and your seatbelts on. Flight attendants, prepare for landing. Okay, and we're now getting into the clouds. And folks, yes, it was this plane. The last time I flew it, and I don't remember where we were going into, but it was raining. And I actually had to use the wipers. I might want to say it was Fort Worth, but I could be wrong. Anyway, it was quite interesting. The wipers actually worked. So, I mean, and not meaning that they went back and forth, but they actually cleared the windshields. It was pretty good. So, don't believe I've seen any signs of that kind of weather here. Let's double check. Yeah, no signs of light rain. Could be some, well, yeah, there could be some scattered showers, so we'll see. All right, we are now reaching our 6,000 foot mark. And we're going to need to be slowing to under 220 here. Okay, so 200. Let me dial in here. Let me dial in one over here. Okay, so there you go, folks. We're a little tighter here. 10-mile sweep, which is plenty of room for TCAS and for us. There goes the airspeed, and here we go to slow us down. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and head for 3,000. Real quick on the headings here before I 161. Okay. Okay, we're at 210. I'm just kind of watching here. Let's get caught real quick on our checks.
Thousand to go.
Okay. We're all set here. There's our landing. Okay. All right, folks. It is time to arm up the localizer. It looks like the glide slope as well. Okay. Here we go, folks. Time to
2500.
Okay, we're starting in with the flaps.
2500.
9 miles out. No runway as of yet, not expecting it. Glide slope.
$2,500.
And we're going to continue to slow. Let's go for flaps 10. Here come the gear. Arming the spoilers.
Gear down.
There we go. And a nice big wall of clouds in front of us. We're on auto land at the moment. We'll see if it should engage here any minute if it's going to let us. Auto land is engaged. And that is known by land 3. I'm starting to see the ground under us. Let's get the rest of the flaps out. We are now 5 miles final. And we'll keep proceeding in until we can up. Got the runway, but who knows? We may hit another layer of fog. I got the airplane. Okay, so we're bringing it in.
1,000.
1,000 feet, stabilized, Mr. Perch, altitude set.
All that he said. Okay. All right, folks. Reject or auto brakes at 3. Speed brakes are armed. We are set at 150 on the arrival. Flaps 40 and 40. Cutting into the wind a little here. And this, I guess, is where the winds really give them trouble. Okay, we're on glide path. Okay, we're getting a little high. .138 is our
500. 400. 300.
Okay.
200.
Here we go, folks.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
And we're in reverse. There's
80 knots.
80 knots coming out of reverse. Well, 95 feet a minute is what Sim Toolkit put us at. All right, almost the end of the runway, which I kind of expected with 5,000 feet, 5,500. All right, and as soon as we clear the hold line, we'll get into the approach or the after landing, go right here. Well, actually, okay, and the after landing checks. Okay. Big thing is we got to get flaps up. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. Safest thing to do. Okay, strobes. Landing lights. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. APU's firing up, position lights, weather radar off. That would be a good thing to turn off now. Okay. Okay, let's get this thing into the gate. Sorry for that, folks. Just wanted to make sure we had everything lined out correctly. Okay, folks. All right, we are in the blocks, and we're going to pull up the checklists here. We did all of this. Okay, so the auto brake is off, speed brake lever down, probe heat's off, exterior lights and engine starts to auto. So let's get up top. Engine starts to auto. Okay. Anti-ice off. Probe heat off. Okay. Speed brakes are down. And lights are off. I'm going to make sure the flaps are up. I think they are. Okay. All right. And finally, weather radar's off, flaps are up, transponder will get turned off here. And that, folks, means it's time to shut down. We have the seatbelt signs to turn off. Okay. Transponder to standby. All right, the engines are spooling back. Back over here to the checklist, parking brake set, electronics or electrical power set, cut off, fasten seatbelts off, anti-collision lights, fuel pumps off. The rest will stay on as we are deboarding. Okay, so flight directors are off. Those are these switches here. We turned the auto throttle off for the landing. Auto brakes are off, flaps are 0, speed brakes are up. And folks, we are ready to deplane. Why are we? Oh, I know why we're locked. Okay. And now let's try. Chocks are in place. GPU is available now. Let's take a look, make sure. Yep, chocks, are they in? Yes. Okay, and finally, last step for me. Tell the people to head on their way. All right, folks, it's been a pleasure flying this flight. We do not have the time to go to Auckland, So we're going to just save that for another day. This was an actual fun arrival. I could see if the winds, as they were telling me in a news article, get up there in the 30, 40, 50 mile an hour range and start shifting around those hills, that could turn into a pretty wild ride into the airport. So we had a great run, 95 feet a minute for sim brief, and Mac Air has us at 139, so no complaints there. Setting OK. File. Continue. And I love when it does this. It's been that way. You know, everything on this trip has been this way. Gotta love it, folks. All right, so mine has been sent and it is pending, so it is there. All righty. So let's go ahead and close out the flights here, folks. We thank you again for flying with Mike. Hopefully, if you like what you heard and saw, and sorry for a lot of the breaks of everything not wanting to work for me, it's just been that kind of a flight. So, but we got in here safely. Passengers are deplaning at this time. We're at gate 23. And we'll see you all Saturday, possibly. We'll see how I feel after coming back to work on my shift. And we'll go from there. Saturday, Sunday, we're off. We're back to work on Monday. So that's why when you look at the schedule, there are no streams set up for Saturday and Sunday. Those will be kind of as I feel. So, folks, again, thanks for flying with Mike. God bless. And y'all have a great day. Don't forget to click follow if you liked what you saw.